All right, we're trying a new thing today called discussion, and today we're talking about the Nintendo Switch and if we are going to buy it at launch day is the ultimate question. But we have a lot to discuss before we answer that question. And I'm here with Matt, Lumberjack Cracks on the Retro Sports Gamer channel.
How's it going?
And the first question for you, Matt, so we can explain to the audience before we get into the discussion is, and I think this is important because I listen to what a lot of people think about the Nintendo Switch, and I don't necessarily align with what type of gamer they actually are. So what type of gamer are you?
Well, I am an everything type of gamer. I don't necessarily like to label myself as a certain type of gamer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm definitely not one of those people that falls into what I would call a casual gamer, where what they play is Call of Duty and they play Madden or they play Grand Theft Auto. Those really huge AAA games that I think are huge sellers because that's where the vast majority of people play. But I mean, I range from playing, from the 2600 to what's out now. I own all of the current systems.
Mm-hmm.
I own an Xbox One, PS4, Wii U, and then I own a bunch of retro systems too. So I spend most of my time playing retro games in PlayStation 4 right now.
Okay, so you're an everything gamer. So is there any limit to what you will play? Like, do you play RPGs, puzzle games, adventure games, sports?
I will play all of those types of games. I mean, there really isn't a genre that I don't like. I mean, I have trouble playing certain genres where I'm not good at them, so I don't play them as long. Like shoot 'em ups is a good example of that. I'm just not good at flying a little object around, shooting, avoiding things.
Yeah.
But I'll play pretty much anything. I enjoy RPGs a lot. I like single player experiences, but I also love playing local multiplayer with other people. It enriches
Couch co-op?
Yeah, it enriches gameplay to no end.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm a fan of couch co-op myself, and I think, when we talk about the Nintendo Switch, we're going to have some potential with that. Now, I want to explain what type of gamer I am. I am exactly the type of gamer that this channel is named after. It's the Retro Sports Gamer. Those games are the games I enjoy the most. Just quick, fun sport experiences, usually arcade gameplay. That's what I like the most. Now, that being said, the arcade sports scene has died down some.
I would say it's dead.
And it's dead.
It's not died down. It's completely dead at this point.
And we'll talk about that too. But also, if I do play things outside of sports, they're usually things that I have nostalgia for. And a lot of those games are Nintendo games. Because I grew up playing Nintendo. I had Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64. So I like Super Smash Brothers, the Super Mario games. Mario Kart, of course. I'll get into like some Ninja Turtles games. I tried the new one on PlayStation 4 by Platinum Games. Wasn't too impressed. So a lot of those games I like to play. And then if there's anything like first-person shooters, it's going to be more retro-inspired stuff. Not the current Call of Duty. So I am a retro sports gamer. And,
if you break down those words individually, that's also what defines what you enjoy. You enjoy retro games and sports games, pretty much.
And I reluctantly play next-gen simulation sports games just so I could play with my friends online. The past... I pretty much boycotted it for like 10 years.
Yeah, you missed the entire PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 generation until about the end when you bought a 3D TV where you felt like you needed to buy a PS3 to play 3D, and I don't think you ever did that.
No, I played one of the NBA 2K games once or twice in 3D, but it really wasn't as big as I thought it was going to be. But we could get into more of this near the end of the discussion. So let's get into the Nintendo Switch. Now you know that what kind of gamers we are, and if, our discussion will help you choose if you're going to buy the system at launch or not. So first of all, let's talk about the design of the console. What do you think about the design?
The whole thing is brilliant to me. Now, there's one major flaw that I find with the Joy-Cons attaching to the... I mean, we should probably describe what it is right now.
Yeah, I mean, most people that would watch this know what it is, but...
Obviously, it's a tablet that has two controllers that can be attached onto it, can be taken off, and then used independently. It has a kickstand so that you can play the tablet, and then it also has a dock so you can play it on the TV. So, with that basic description of it, now I feel more comfortable. The flaw that I find in there is every single Nintendo console up to this point has had a D-pad on its default controller. And this one does not have the D-pad. And I've discussed this with you in the past. Whenever I have the option between a joystick and a D-pad, I'm always going to use the D-pad over the joystick. I mean, I think that probably goes back to that's what I'm used to, because I've been using it since the NES. And that cross-pad is their,
like C buttons?
No, the D-pad button.
Well, yeah, they're kind of like the C buttons on an N64 controller.
Oh, yeah. What they have on the Switch, yeah, it's basically just like the C buttons on the 64, which that cannot serve the same purpose. Now, there are hopes of them selling different versions of the Joy-Cons, where they have a D-pad on it, or one would mimic the button layout of a GameCube controller or whatnot. I've seen mock-ups of that. Don't know if they were actually patenting that. I think there was a patent for that. But I think the design is nice. From what I've heard, the controllers feel kind of small, but at the same time, they feel really nice. Like, it feels like a good evolution of the Wii controller.
Yeah, and without us touching them or getting to play them like some people have, we don't really know.
Yeah.
So do you like the fact that you can take it anywhere as a portable?
I've in my everyday life already, I see opportunities where I'd be using this. Like, I find myself with downtime at work where if I had a Switch with me, I could pop those Joy-Cons off, hand it to the person next to me, and we'd have something to do while there's just nothing to do.
Yeah.
Now, at the same time, the buttons for the joystick and the buttons on that small controller, when you turn it sideways, they're literally like right next to each other.
Yeah, they're very close in proximity.
It's very close. And I think it's not going to be comfortable for long play sessions, but honestly, what that does is it turns every Switch into a tech demo station. Like, someone sees you playing independently, and they're like, "Oh wow, is that the Nintendo Switch?" And you're like, "Yeah, it is. You want to try it?" And they're like, "Try it." And then you pretend like
the controller.
Instead of handing it to them, you hand them a Joy-Con, and then you just pop it on a table, and then you're both playing. And I think that really creates an opportunity where people are going to learn about it faster, because you're going to be able to play it anywhere if they see somebody playing it.
Well, yeah, us both being a fan of couch co-op, you now have something you could take with you portably where, there's always these social situations. You go to a party, family party that you just kind of tag along in, and, there's not anything going on at this party, really. Well, now you got something that you might be able to carry on your pocket. Don't know. It looks like it might be a little bit too big for that, but that option's there. You can liven up a social situation pretty easily with it.
So when you talk about the portability of it and like putting it in your pocket, I don't think that's going to be a thing, but now what's going to be a thing for me personally is I'm going
Fanny
to...
pack.
I was going to say a purse-like object. I'd be carrying a purse-like object with me everywhere. Now, you didn't have a 3DS, so I did carry around my 3DS XL, which is really fat, you know, and huge. It fits into your pocket, but it slides out a lot. Now, the thing about the DS versus the Switch is it has a lid that flips down, so I feel comfortable leaving that in my pocket. Even if the Switch fits in my pocket, I am not putting that thing in there. I do not want to scratch the screen because there's no lid on it. I would much rather get a carrying case that's made for the Switch that makes sure that the screen doesn't scratch.
Yeah.
Now, the portability aspect of it too, there's a lot of good features with that on the 3DS, like Street Pass. Now, if everybody has one, that would be awesome. And I think the value of the Switch is going to depend on how many people actually buy into this.
Yes. And, you know, you talk about the carrying case, and we're going to get into prices in a little bit, but I think it's only about $20, so that's not too bad.
That's a good cost for me.
Yeah. So I like that. That's one of the prices that are a little bit more reasonable on the Switch. But, you know, just talking about a few more design things, I'm not as picky with the D-pad versus a joystick. Pretty much everything has had the option of both. I've been okay with either using the D-pad or the joystick. A lot of times I'll go to the joystick just because if there's a lot of moving back and forth, a lot of D-pad movements, the thumb will get a little bit sore on the D-pad versus the joystick.
You also have bigger thumbs than I do.
Yeah, so I don't care as much about that. I do like the fact that you could just play it any way possible, really. You could play it portable, you could plug it into the dock, play it on the TV, and you could even play it as a kickstand. So you really have all options there. Now, another design thing I really want to talk about that it was make or break for me is the physical media of that.
Oh, right.
The card. It's a game card, like an SD card, like the 3DS, like the DS. So you could buy physical media with a nice little case that looks like it's custom just for the Switch. That's huge for me. I don't buy into the digital media at all. I don't buy any music that way. Any games, well, I've bought some games, but I don't really try to buy them anymore. And I might be a little bit of a hypocrite as I talk about some of the things later. But I don't try to buy into digital media at all, and those cards are huge for me. And because Nintendo games hold their value too, so
that is a very important aspect to me, and I think that also a lot of people are concerned with the idea of the system having only 32 megabytes of data for games.
Right.
And I feel like that concern largely comes from thinking that you're going to have to install these games like you do with the current consoles. Where you're going to have to put a disc in, it installs the disc, it plays off of both. But it doesn't necessarily use the disc that much.
No.
You know, it just uses it for the rights management thing. But I don't think that's going to be the case with the Switch. And I haven't seen this stated anywhere because I think it's an obvious thing that when you plug in the cartridge, you can just play off the cartridge. You don't have to install anything. I don't think you're going to have to install it.
No, I don't think you'll have to install it. You might have to do an update to it, and so it would play off both. I think that's how it's going. A lot
of your capacity is going to be wasted on saving games and then the updates that come with games.
Yes.
So that stuff's going to fill it up, but you're not going to have to put on like a 32 gigabyte game, which would take up the entire hard drive. Yeah. Like I saw a article that came out recently that said that Dragon Quest Heroes was going to be 32 gigabytes.
Yeah, that's pretty big. So it's obviously going to have to play off the card.
Yeah, I mean...
And then there's expandable micro SD memory, is that right?
Right.
Okay.
And I think you can do up to 256 gigabytes or something like that.
Yeah.
which is a lot, but it's still half of the default PlayStation and default Xbox One
So
storage.
if we're counting on people, it looks like the target demographic, based off some of their advertising, specifically their opening trailer, is based off of this hipster, maybe 20 to 35-year-old. If they're targeting that market, that I feel like those people, especially when you get up into the 35 over 30, 40-year-olds, they're definitely going to understand the power of the physical media, whereas some of the younger, late teenagers, 20-year-olds, they'll probably want more digital. I mean, that's just because they're more used to that.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I mean, when you talk about the advertising of it, I think the advertising is focusing on, the demographic that you said purposely, because this is going to sell to kids anyway, regardless. The software is the part that's going to sell to kids. I think the idea of the tablet looking like any other tablet, kids are going to want this because they can play Mario on it. They're going to want it because they can play Zelda on it. And they can play Minecraft better than a portable version of Minecraft because it's actual console version of Minecraft and not the stupid Minecraft Pocket.
Right. Do you give a crap about like the features of the Joy-Cons?
The motion controls?
Well, the motion control, the thing inside of it that's supposed to feel like ice cubes.
The HD.
Yeah, HD Rumble, they're calling it, whatever that means.
I think that's cool, but I need to see it used, That might be a thing that's never going to get used, really, where it actually feels like a thing.
I don't care about that, but what I do care about, and I do like about the Switch, and this is the reason I don't have the Wii anymore, or the Wii U, I sold the Wii U to you, is because the inconsistent controllers and the fact that you have to track down double A's that are charged to play with the Wiimotes. So with the Switch, you plug them into the tablet, and then you plug it into the dock, and all of it charges.
Right.
So the rechargeable Joy-Cons. I like that because I don't have to worry about tracking down double A's every time I want to play the Wii or Wii U. And, I didn't play it frequently enough to know when those were charged for other people to play, and that always annoyed me. When I can, I got all these retro systems back here that I have all the controllers for them. I just plug them in, they're good to go. I don't have to deal with any of that crap. I don't care if there's a wire.
I do run into that problem a lot currently, because I still will play the Wii and the Wii U with my friends. I mean, right now my Wii U is not even at my house. It's at my friend's house because I usually play it there, and I was tired of lugging it back and forth because I haven't really been focusing on that very much. But we run into this problem like every couple weeks where, all the controllers are dead now because we put batteries in there at the same exact time last time. So now we have to go to the convenience store and get batteries.
Yeah, I didn't care when I was playing the original Wii a lot, and we made sure they were charged over and over, and then you just recharge them in the Energizer thing, and it was quick and then easy. And now it seems like, I don't know what happened with rechargeable batteries, but it seems like all the ones you buy take longer now with the rechargeable double A's.
So
there was some kind of fire hazard or something.
Right, when we bought our charger for that, they had them charge a lot faster, but there was a fire hazard with that.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
that's what happened. They made ones that were, weren't a fire hazard, but I don't know how.
Because they used to be fast.
It was 15 minutes to charge.
Yeah, and now it's 8 hours.
Yeah,
it sucks.
There was a period of time where it was 4 to 8 hours, and then it went up to the 15-minute thing, and then it went back down because of
All right, well, that's enough about that. So overall, I think we like the design of the console. There's some pros and cons.
One thing I want to ask you about, though, before we get away from the design completely, do you care about the motion control feature of the Switch?
It depends. I haven't heard of the games that I like to play on the Wii, specifically like the House of the Dead game and the
Right.
Resident Evil. What was it called?
Umbrella Chronicles.
Umbrella Chronicles,
And then Resident Evil 4.
And
Yeah.
those they were like the point and click. I don't think these are gonna have that, right?
So that is a feature of the Switch. The controllers do the same exact thing.
Without the infrared plug-in.
Right. Because I think the tablet itself can do that, which the Wii U tablet does that.
Okay.
So you can play Wii games off of the Wii U tablet. So I'm pretty sure the Switch does that, and I'm pretty sure I think this could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the dock itself has an IR thing to it.
Okay.
So you can still do the Wii motion controls. And if you notice that the presentation that they did, that's what they focused on mostly. They were focusing on the motion control aspect and all the little design things. But I think that was to appease to like shareholders and stuff like that. Or I wouldn't necessarily say shareholders because they obviously probably knew about stuff. But to other.
The biggest thing to me is just show me the games that utilize that well, and I will care about it.
And there will be definitely games that are going to utilize that well. Like with the Wii U, Pikmin 3 is a great game with the Wii joystick. You have the nunchuck in the one hand, and then you're pointing at the screen with the other hand, and it plays very well. It's very comfortable. It's way better than doing it in the joystick version of the game. I'm actually excited about the fact that they left that motion control part in, but I don't want it to be focused on unless a game is specifically going to do that thing.
Yeah, and I don't think it is focusing on that.
Yeah.
Which is the good thing. The bad thing is, too, I always felt like the Wii and, of course, the Wii U totally underutilizes those features in sports games besides for Wii Sports.
Yeah,
I always saw great potential for it, and then none of the developers really used it to its full potential. I remember the Madden, like 2004 I had. You could throw the ball by flicking the Wiimote, and that was kind of cool. So it was a little bit
really,
different.
you could just do this.
Yeah,
you just leave your wrist down here and flick your wrist slightly, because it wasn't a one-to-one control thing.
Yeah, so we like the design overall, I think, and we see how this can blow up possibly. But it's blowing up depends on, of course, the games. So the games, they've released, a handful, more than a handful of games. Some of the ones that are coming out at launch, of course, Zelda Breath of the Wild.
That is going to be the system seller. I mean, that's the game that people are going to want to get.
Right. Even though it's still coming out on the Wii U.
So I own a Wii U right now, but I've also decided that I'm probably going to get the Switch. So...
Oh, this is a spoiler. You weren't supposed to say that already.
Oh, okay.
I'm just joking. I don't care.
But, anyways, I'm going to wait that out. Regardless of me having a Wii U, I would always take the better version if I already have the intention of buying the better thing.
Yes. Yeah, I see what you're saying. So we have Zelda Breath of the Wild. The other one that's coming out at launch is 1-2 Switch and I guess we can talk about the prices as we talk about the games too, but that one's a $50 game.
So the problem with 1-2 Switch is I have done kind of like half research on it. I've tried watch the trailer video for it. I still don't really know what it is. And regardless of that, I don't think I'm going to buy it. It would be something that if you packed it in and I could play that and then make a decision there. It seemed, I mean, I've played Wii Play in the past, or Wii Sports in the past, and I thought they were great. They were really fun. And I don't doubt Nintendo's ability to make a really fun, like, party game like that. But I am not going to pay $50
to find out.
Yeah, to find that out. Now, if I play that at somebody's house and I enjoy it, and I'm like, alright, this seems like something that I'm willing to invest the money into, then I'm going to buy it. as far as that goes, though, that's me. I don't think that having it not be a pack-in game is going to help for casual people to want to buy it.
Yeah.
Because Wii Sports was a very strong system seller for the Wii. I mean,
And a tech demo.
right, and old people like retirement homes have that, and they would just play Wii bowling at retirement homes, or just like people's grandparents would buy Wii's just to play Wii Sports.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really brilliant as far as the marketing with the Wii and including the Wii Sports. So yeah, 1-2 Switch. I'm in that same boat. If I'm getting a Switch, that's a game I'm looking right over.
Right.
Until it comes down in price, there's no way I'm spending $50 to find out if this game is cool. So yeah, that's what that is. The other game that's coming out at launch on March 3rd is Bomberman R-Type.
R-Type.
So Bomberman is a game that I've never played any versions of Bomberman.
You've never played any versions
Any
of Bomberman?
version of Bomberman. I know Konami makes the game.
It actually was not a Konami game. It was something that was picked up from Hudson.
Okay.
They acquired that from Hudson. Hudson was the original maker of that.
Okay. That's good to know. And so yeah, now there is something that I do want to say about Bomberman accompanying with one of the other games that isn't coming out on launch is that Street Fighter 2 game. Now these two games are what's got me excited about the Switch because they seem to me like pretty much retro rehashes of good games of the past. They don't look like they're trying to completely overhaul what the games are, especially the Street Fighter game. We know that one is just like a rehashed version of it with extra features.
Right.
So if the Nintendo Switch delivers on these type of games moving forward, rehashes of retro games that are pretty much the similar gameplay, this is what is going to sell me. This is one of the selling points for me.
Yeah.
And not necessarily that, because I prefer Mortal Kombat to Street Fighter. I just didn't grow up playing Street Fighter. I'm not good at the controls with that game, but I understand what that game means to retro gamers and current gamers. So if we could see other stuff like these two games down the line, that's going to be huge.
Yeah,
Huge.
I agree.
It's going to be huge. So yeah, some of the other games, we talked about the motion controls, and I would say this is kind of like a sports fighting game. Is that ARMS game?
Yeah, ARMS looks interesting.
It's going to be all about the gameplay.
That's also another game I am not going to buy unless I try it. And I think that's part of the problem with that. And I think if I play it at a friend's house and like it, I'm going to get it because I'm going to want to have that experience when I have other people come to play my Switch.
Yeah.
But not offering that as a pack-in type title, I don't care enough right now.
Yeah, this is a game if I play, I could see me getting into, because this is one of those games where it looks like you'll be able to get some exercise while you play it. And if the controls are done well, I like the fact that it looks like a pretty straightforward, just pick up and play fighting game. And these are the type of games that I like. I don't like these fully immersed experiences like Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is their #1 system seller. I respect the Zelda series for everything it is, but I'm not going to get engulfed in those type of experiences. So a game like ARMS, if it's proven to be a fun game, then that's something that I would play. Also, what else do we got coming out? We have the Mario Kart Deluxe 8.
So, Mario Kart Deluxe 8 is an interesting idea here. You're basically reselling a game that you made on the last console, but adding features to it. For me, what this does for me, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy that game because I have it on the Wii U. I didn't really get that much playtime on that game on the Wii U, and you're just offering me all the DLC that I didn't buy
And the battle mode.
and the battle mode that doesn't, like, the crappy one that exists currently in the Wii U is not good.
Yeah. There is a battle mode in Wii U?
There is a battle mode in the Wii U one, but you just drive around on the tracks that already exist.
Oh, so this has its own separate battle
Right. So
tracks.
they're bringing back like tracks like Block Fort.
And Donut
Right.
from the 64 game. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, this is one of the games that I would definitely buy if I had the Switch. I don't have the Wii U anymore. I sold it to you. I played a little bit of the Mario Kart, but this is the game. These are the games that are great for couch co-op. Bring this on the go. This also looks like one of the great games that you're going to be able to trade Joy-Cons.
Yeah, as they call it, sharing the joy.
Sharing the joy, yes. Very nice. Very well
I wanted
played.
to gag myself when I saw that.
Well, that's that may be a Japanese type reference. I don't know, but it's kind of corny, but I guess it works for them. Is there any other games that we want to talk about moving forward?
I mean the most important game to me, and I'm disappointed it's not coming out at launch, is Mario Odyssey. Mario Odyssey is what I've been looking for in a Nintendo system. The Wii U Mario games like Mario 3D World and New Super Mario Bros. U, they don't really do it for me. I mean, I've played New Super Mario Bros. When it came out on the DS, and I enjoyed it there. And then you play it on the Wii with a couple other people, and it was really fun. But you offered me the same game, and then the 3D World game is just not the 3D experience that I'm looking for in a Mario.
It's more
game.
like isometric, most of it.
Right. It's just an isometric game.
I like the
you can play with the
multiplayer.
It's fun, but if you do it by yourself, it's not as fun. You're taking away the part of the game that made it fun, is the people that you're with. I mean, you can turn I'm not saying it's a bad game, but you can turn a really crappy game into a fun game if you're playing with other people. So that's what that game was banking on, and with Super Mario Odyssey, you're going back to like Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, Mario Galaxy. Those are the type of Mario experiences I've been looking for, and this looks like something that they're going to be trying to do new stuff with, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I like the Mario games as well. This is a game that I would pick up just because Mario's are quick, fun, pick up and play games. You go through levels. It's station to station type games. Usually, some of them have some puzzles in them, like the Super Mario World introduced that, I think, and even Super Mario 3. We're going back to like the NES, Super Nintendo
There are
days.
puzzles in all of the Mario games, minus like the first one, but
they're not to the extent like Resident Evil, where you have to go in and read a memo to figure out the puzzle if you don't have a strategy guide.
right. I mean, that's something that you wouldn't want to do in a game.
So yeah, Super Mario Odyssey, that's a cool game, but we don't know when it's coming out. There's a few other games I want to touch on. Splatoon 2.
So the smartest thing that they did about Splatoon 2 was, I saw that it was coming out in the summer, and I'm like, that's a really bad idea. They should not have it come out in the summer. Smartest thing they did was they recently announced that during March you will be able to play it, a demo version of it, for free. So regardless if you own a game at launch, you can still play Splatoon 2, the demo part of it.
That's
I mean,
cool.
I don't know to what extent it's going to be. Now, I didn't buy Splatoon on the Wii U because I just never found... I like the game. I played the game at people's houses, but it just didn't grab me enough to want to play multiplayer with other people. And they had a single-player element to that game that I thought was cool, but it's a very brief single-player, so it's not enough for me. But if Splatoon 2 offers a more robust single-player element to it and more stuff for the multiplayer, I'd probably get that game. But
Well, the online's the problem with it because the online on the Wii U sucked. There's no headset chat.
Right.
You got to do friend codes, all that crap. The game's cool, and I think it even took advantage of the pad, showing you the map of the map
right.
of the level. So yeah, Splatoon 2. If I was to play a first-person shooter, that would be the type that I play in this.
Well,
day
it's
and
a
age.
third-person shooter.
Well, third-person, yeah, because you see your character.
Right.
So, but that's the type of shooting game that I would play. I'm not really into these hyper-realistic army-type space shooting games.
I agree with you on the military shooter thing. It's been played out for me. I jumped in on Call of Duty 4 when it came out, and that was like the first one that was extremely popular. And then from there, it went downhill, and I just stopped caring. But for a sidebar comment, I think that if you got to play Halo in like the original Halo or Halo 2 in a situation where you have a LAN party, which I think this is going to be a great thing for the Switch, but it's going to bring back like old LAN party styles. But with with Halo, you could bring in 2 consoles, 2 TVs, sit in separate rooms, but you're on the same team with the 4 people or 3 other people with you, and then you're just talking trash with the other people like after the game. You would love that. You never got to experience that. Now with the Switch, if everybody has one and everybody has Splatoon, we're going to be having those same experiences. Where we're just going to be carrying them around because they're a portable system, and we could all sit in the same room and basically have a LAN party with no effort.
Yeah.
And
just
I
connect
think
to Wi-Fi, you're good to go.
That's going to be a very important part for me. And you don't even need Wi-Fi with the Switch. It works the same way that the DS does and the 3DS does, where you can just locally do a wireless thing from within the systems. You don't have to use Wi-Fi for that.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so I think that will be good for games like Splatoon. We'll get into some of the online features in a little bit here. The other game I want to... 2 sports games, since this is the Retro Sports Gamer channel. The 2 that I know that are coming out are NBA 2K18 and FIFA.
Yeah.
So, FIFA, they showed at their actual presentation, and to me, FIFA was like, I don't really care. It's nice that EA is going to make at least one game for the Switch that we know, but at the same time, I don't care. EA irks me still to this day, and I'm definitely not going to support EA with a soccer game.
Yeah, the thing about EA is they're going to be a very important aspect of making this successful, because the Switch is going to need Madden. The Switch is going to need like Call of Duty on it, and it's going to need like Grand Theft Auto, like I said earlier. And people are going to have to buy FIFA.
If they're got Lego City undercover. We don't need Grand Theft Auto.
But my point anyway, you're gonna need EA support from this, because that's gonna bring in a lot of casual people. It's gonna bring in a larger user base, and like I said, it's gonna enhance all the other games if there is a larger user base, because you're gonna have these situations where people are gonna be in the same place with the same system, able to play these games together, and that is different from doing a couch co-op thing, because having your own screen but still being in the same room greatly enhances a lot of things. You don't have like a GoldenEye screen looking where you start yelling at people because you think somebody's looking at your screen. Yeah. There's no way you could have known you were behind me.
That's true.
So EA is being very cautious by putting out FIFA. They're like just dipping their toe in the water. They're putting out a game they know that is going to sell because it's a soccer game, and that's their best-selling sports game.
Worldwide, yeah, it's more popular.
They are not taking a risk at all.
Yeah, that's understandable. They're not taking a risk, and that's how I felt when I saw FIFA. I was like, okay, big deal. So, 2K is also going to be on the system. Now, this is not important for me for the first one, I don't think, because I do play PlayStation 4, and there's only a couple games that I actively play with my friends online, and 2K is one of them.
Right.
And, you know, I only got probably 7 or 8 friends that I can play with, and I'm not going to convince all of them to buy a Nintendo Switch so we can play NBA 2K on the Nintendo Switch instead.
There.
So down the line, this might be more important as we talk about the potential of the Nintendo Switch, but initially, it doesn't really matter to me.
I agree. I mean, that's not a game that I'm going to want to buy. Now, at the same time, if you offered me an NBA Jam on the Switch, I would buy that immediately.
Yes, and that's another thing EA has bought the rights to, and that's one of the leagues that's not actually licensed out by EA or by who makes the MLB The Show. It was like
that's a Sony.
Yeah,
company.
Sony.
I'm not. I'm pretty sure it might be what used to be 989 Studios.
Yeah, and that's why the MVP baseball died, because of the license, like basically fight back licensing when EA licensed the NFL, and no one could make an NFL game after that point. So, those are the 2 sports games that they've showed so far, and I'm not really caring too much about either of them, unfortunately. And then I think we could move on from the games at this point.
I think there are some games that you don't care about that are going to be good. I'm just briefly going to say a blanket statement. There's a lot of RPGs that are going to be showing up on this system. But as far as what you're interested in, that's not going to do anything for you. But personally, there's a lot that's going to be there that I'm going to want to buy. So...
Okay. Well, that's good to know. So we talked about the games for quite a while, and we'll talk about more of like the virtual console stuff in games when we talk about the online aspect of it. But let's talk about the prices briefly and what we think about them. So the system's coming out for $299. Do you like that? Is that all right with you?
$299 is not a bad price for me. You're getting a home console and a portable console in one thing, which I would both buy independently anyway. I own a Wii U, I own a 3DS. I would even buy a second 3DS so I can play with another person on other things. I haven't done it, but if the price was right on a second one, I would get it. But you're offering me a home console and a portable console in one. I think that's good value. You're going on par with the PlayStation and the Xbox, and the only problem with that is the PlayStation has a packing game, the Xbox has a packing game. Switch does not yet. I think that's going to be something that will come.
Yeah.
But right now at launch, they're just going to sell you bare bones systems because they know you're going to buy Zelda. That's what it comes down to, I think.
Yeah, and $299 is not a problem for price for me. A lot of the other new systems came out at $399. This one's coming out $100 less. It's got the options of portability and everything. It's going to have better graphics than the Wii U, and I think we're to the point with the graphics now where they're not as important, especially to someone who's a retro gamer like me. They're well beyond anything I would have imagined. So I'm good with the $299 price.
Yeah.
So we also have the Pro Controller, $70.
Yeah, the Pro Controller being $70. So what this feels like to me is Nintendo is making up the cost for the system by selling the accessories a lot more at a higher price than what they actually should be at. Because, I mean, you look at a PlayStation 4 controller that costs $60 or $65. But now you have $10 price increase on that. And then there's also the Joy-Cons, the things that physically clip into this console. Those are, you get 2 of them in a one bundle, but that's going to be $80.
Yeah, $80 and then $50 if you just need one. Which I don't think for adults is going to matter as much. but kids, you know, they can lose or break a Joy-Con, I think, and you're going to be buying those single Joy-Cons for $50.
So the reason you're going to buy multiple Joy-Cons is because you are going to have those experiences that are going to be Wii-like games where you're going to need Joy-Cons to do that.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to have 4 of those.
Yeah, and that's another thing. It's one thing that I don't like as much about the Switch. You still got a lot of like different types of controllers, and there's still a lot of confusion with that. But I'll forgive it a little bit just because we don't have to use those AA batteries. And as far as the Pro Controller, I don't like that it's $70, but if the system comes with one controller already, with the Joy-Cons that move into the insert, and if I only need to buy one more to play 2-player games, I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Another thing about the Pro Controller, the design of that has a D-pad on it. So I'm definitely going to get that. You know, I want the D-pad. I don't care that it's $70.
That's a good point.
Because I am not going to, even if with the insert, putting my Joy-Cons into that and playing a game, I'm going to want that D-pad the whole time. I don't want those buttons down there. So...
Yeah, so I think, you know, overall, like, the accessory prices are high. Is there any other accessories you need to talk about? We talked about that the travel case is like $20. They got those wheels, too, for $15. I'm okay with that. I'm not buying those. I never play the Mario. Yeah, they have Joy-Con wheels.
They have the wheels?
They're $15 for 2, though.
I never use the motion controls in Mario Kart. I'm never going to buy that.
Yeah.
That is just a pure, like, kid thing.
Yeah, if it's not connected to, like, a actual steering wheel that, like, suctions down to the table, then I don't really care.
Maybe if I'm sitting on an arcade cabinet and doing it, I'm fine with it.
So, yeah, I don't think... There might be some accessories we're missing. We're not going to talk about the Amiibos.
There is another one. There is the insert grip, you know what I'm talking about, that comes with the console?
Yes.
The one that comes with the console is actually a plastic one that doesn't charge your controllers. They have another one that they sell for $30, and you can only buy the $30 one that does charge your controllers while you're playing with the grip version.
Okay. So yeah, that would be a good option if you buy another 2 Joy-Con pack, but then you're talking about
$110.
$110
just to create another controller.
Yeah, ouch. Yeah,
that's
rough.
At the same time, that is 2 controllers technically, and then you turn them into 1 controller. And then, you know, I don't know. That's a hard sell for me. I would probably go with the Pro Controller over that, and then just have Joy-Cons. But you know, you might just have to, you know, throw in that extra cost.
Yeah, I think, you know, the controller situation is still a little convoluted when it comes to the Switch, and that's all I could say really about that. Any other? Oh, I said we're not going to talk about the Amiibos. I'm sure there's a bunch coming out with the Zelda and stuff, but I don't want to get into that.
The Amiibo hype has died, I think.
Yeah, but there's still a lot of people that like them, and I think that also the existence of the Amiibos brings kids to the console, so that's a good thing for Nintendo. Okay, so we talked about the prices, so let's talk about the features and the online experience. So first of all, what do you know about the features? Because I want to talk about the online experience first.
Features how?
Well, what features does the console have? Does it come? Can you play Netflix on it? Is there some kind of web browser?
There won't be Netflix.
How's the
at
interface?
Launch. And from what I've heard, there isn't an internet browser. I don't know if that's true. I didn't look that up, though, because it's not really something I thought about. But at the same time, am I going to use me personally, am I going to use an internet browser on there? Probably not, because I have my phone in my pocket at the same time. I'm going to keep the game that I'm playing on, pull out my phone, and then look up what I need to look up.
Can you watch YouTube videos on there?
I don't know that.
So there's some of these questions that I don't think there might be answers to. You just assume that the console's
Yeah.
going to be capable of that.
Those
type
were
of
the
stuff.
things that I just assumed would be a part of it, and I didn't bother to look at that.
So, is there any other features that you see standing out with the Switch?
I mean, no.
Okay, so
Not that I am aware of.
So let's talk about the online part of it, because that's where there's a lot of question marks, and there's also one thing that I really like about the online that they're talking about that they didn't elaborate on enough. So the online experience is going to be through an app on your phone, and I believe that's how you're going to also communicate with your friends and chat in parties like you would on a PS4 or Xbox One. So the negative thing about that is, I use an iPhone 6 Plus. It's over 2 years old. The battery life sucks on it. If I come home after 10 hours being gone from work, then if I want to play the Switch, I'm going to have to worry about the phone being charged so I can continue this headset gaming. So that's a big concern of mine with it. It might work out to be all right, but like in your current situation, do you really want to use your phone battery for that? It sounds like there's some cool things that you could do with the app as far as set appointments. I could see that being somewhat useful, especially if you have a busy lifestyle. If you're an adult, you want to play with your friends.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool thing where you could tell, hey, everybody, I'm going to be playing this game at this time. If you want to play at this time, I'm going to be there. Let's meet up. You don't even have to send out a text to people. They just look at the Switch thing, and then you're like, okay.
Yeah. So and this is something Nintendo didn't elaborate on much. We know that the online service is going to be free up until fall. Then you're going to have to pay, what is it, $50 a year?
It's
$50 or $60.
So. I didn't. Honestly, that's something that I don't care about paying. I will pay that. I don't care. That's just the norm of things now.
That seems to be the standard. And the other thing that they're talking about is there's going to be one Nintendo or Super Nintendo game that you could play per month, right?
Yeah.
For free.
Only during that period, though.
See, but the thing is, here's the big thing on this. They're saying that this part, if it's a retro game, you're going to be able to play with someone online. That's what's got me excited.
I didn't know about that.
So, if the game is, let's say, Super Mario Brothers 3.
Okay.
You could connect, say if we both had Switches, we'd be able to play that game together.
And then we're sitting there party chatting, and, I'm watching you play, and then I'm making fun of you while you're playing.
Yeah, so we're on this party chat. We're playing the level. You might be able to give your friend tips. You're taking a break. I'm drinking a beer. You're drinking tea right now. You could take that little break in between playing. And then you could also, if you could do it like they say, you could play co-op games together online. Retro co-op games. This is something that I think has been done once with the Wii Virtual Console, to my knowledge, with like a Street Fighter 2 game.
Yeah, that's been done on there.
So, this is the thing. If this game's free for a month and they take it away, say they just push one game, everybody's playing it for that month, but then this same game is something you could buy off the Virtual Console and continue this two-player experience, that to me is where the value of Virtual Console is going to come in for me. Not only the fact that you could do this, but you could play it portably. These games that you buy in Virtual Console, they're not going to take up a lot of memory because they're old games and they don't take up a lot of memory.
They don't take up a lot of memory on my 3DS currently.
Yeah, so this is the potential to me of the Virtual Console, and they haven't said enough online about the online for us to really know. But I think Nintendo's smart about being open-ended about this online or not revealing a lot of information, because they could kind of just see how it goes and see what people are saying and then implement these things. They're not pulling an Xbox One where they release a bunch of information and then everyone's ready to boycott the system and everything's up in an uproar.
I think that is exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to avoid that happening. They want to offer everything for free at first as a test launch to see what are people liking about this and what are they using. And if people don't like it, I'm pretty sure they'll rework everything. And with the way that I think the system is set up, I think that will be an easy thing for them to do. I don't know if it'll actually be easy. But yeah, this is definitely a test run thing.
And yeah, that to me, because I won't buy digital games, but if you give me retro games that I already have and you give me that additional feature of being able to play online basically anywhere that has Wi-Fi, or if I could connect to my phone's LTE hotspot, you're telling me I can play these retro games anywhere with people that are online, with my friends. This is a system seller to me personally. If they pull it off the way that it sounds like it's going to be, I don't know if they're going to make, if it's just going to be that one game per month where you'll be able to play multiplayer, or if they have servers for all these virtual console games that they come out with. And the other thing is, too, we know on the Wii that they had multiple systems that you could play. They had Sega Genesis, they had TurboGrafx 16. So the possibilities of what retro games you could play are endless. And if they offer an online multiplayer experience, I think they can kill it.
So, as far as the virtual console thing goes, the Wii had a very good virtual console in a sense. I mean, they did have an offering of all those other systems that were non-Nintendo. The Wii U didn't sell enough, so they didn't offer that much support for that. I think that's something that they will probably try to reach out to, like Sega, to try to work out a deal, or get a TurboGrafx deal again if there's a large enough user base. I think there's a possibility there, but I agree with you with virtual console games, but I already buy virtual console games. But if you give me an extra online feature for that, that's even better.
Now, ideally, I would like them to be licensed sports games, and I know that's an impossibility. But I realize, like, there's other games I like to play. You give me a Smash Brothers 64 that I could play with other people. I'd love that. Super Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo, Mario Kart 64. There's some great Nintendo games that I would love to play multiplayer, and to me that would be good enough. But I'm going to be a little bit of a dreamer here, because we know with the NES Classic and some of the virtual console games that Nintendo has a good relationship with these old developers that are still in existence, right?
Yeah.
Tecmo, Konami, Sega.
They have a relationship with them.
Capcom.
I don't know if you could stretch and say it's a good relationship.
Well, they have
a strong enough relationship to have these things come in existence.
Yeah, so, they have the Bomberman game. Everyone thought that Konami was just making pachinko machines. Well, they have that. They got Mega Man in the Super Smash Brothers game, right? They got Sonic in the Super Smash Brothers game. They have Mario and Sonic Olympic Games, so they've obviously teamed up. And then what's the other one? Tecmo, right? They got Tecmo. And Tecmo's coming out with, that's another game we didn't talk about. Like the Xenoblade. Is that a Tecmo game?
It is not a Tecmo.
There is a Tecmo game coming out, though, isn't there?
There is a Tecmo game. I don't know what it is.
Well, anyways, who cares about that game? I don't care about
Xenoblade Chronicles is I think it's Monolith or something. It's a second-party developer.
So, on the Virtual Console, on the Wii, you had the original Tecmo Bowl, right? On the Wii U, I believe you also had the Tecmo Bowl.
Right. We've had
on the NSC Class, we had a lot of Tecmo Bowl, and that's great and everything. That's a good game. That was the one that catapulted it on the NES. But the big game is Tecmo Super Bowl. That is what a lot of sports articles, sports gamers say is the best sports game of all time. Now that is debatable, of course. But it's not that impossible to, if you don't have the NFL licensing because of EA's policies and having the NFL licensing, which I hate, which makes the Madden games even worse because they have generic announcers and generic everything in that game. But you could remove the helmets, like the logos on the helmets. You can remove the player names, keep the statistics of the Tecmo Super Bowl game on the NES. Let's not remake the Super Nintendo game like we did with the PlayStation 3 and Xbox.
With Tecmo Throwback.
Yeah, with Tecmo Throwback. Let's not do that. Let's just remove all the NFL licensing on Tecmo Super Bowl and imagine you play that game, buy it on the Virtual Console, and you could play multiplayer through the Nintendo Switch anywhere.
I'm telling you right now, you're a huge dreamer. Because that NFL license part is the only reason why that game has not shown up on Virtual Console. Because they don't want to take the effort to hack a game where they change graphical details. When you take Tecmo Bowl, you're just changing the player names.
Well, you're removing them.
Right.
Yeah, because they have generics, helmets, and logos.
Right.
But you have to look at the potential of this. They may not do it. I might just be a dreamer. I don't know if Nintendo has to do it. I don't know if Tecmo has to do it. But let's make stuff like this happen.
That would be great. I agree with you. I think it would be a fantastic thing if they could make stuff like that happen. If they revisit these old games. I mean, the retro scene has been growing for years now, and it's getting totally inflated. There's obviously a demand there. Going back to like the games section, one game that people have been clamoring for is a 2D Metroid game. And Nintendo has not made a 2D Metroid game, but they had recently said something about how that they've been listening to fans, which they always say they're listening to people. And they think they know what they want. And it sounds like that's going to be a possibility. So I think that Nintendo is taking a look at, like, let's say how well the NES Classic sold. And they did not expect it to sell that well. That people are actually interested in these old games. And I think they might give them the love that they deserve, but who knows?
Yeah, and you've seen stuff like the NES Remix and NES Remix 2 where they have showed them some love. We know that the capability is there, but just imagine playing all these games multiplayer anywhere you're at. This is like amazing potential and that's one of the topics we're talking about is potential. The potential's all there if Nintendo can finally do the online correctly. If they could just have a basic interface that's not with all these Mii's and crap when you load the system. If they just have something basic like PlayStation 4, and from the feedback I've heard so far, that's what it is.
From that, yeah. If you saw the person that got a stolen one, the videos.
And
it is a basic, nice and sleek looking setup. It looks very modern and very nice. Before we get too far away from the online part, though, because we briefly touched on the fact that this is going to be like party chat and chats are going to be on an app on your phone. You talked about the battery life, but do you have a problem with it being on a separate device and not natively on the device?
What, the headset chat or the app?
Just the chat stuff.
Well, yeah, I don't really like it. I mean, just thinking about it, I don't like it. But if it's an option that they've never given before, and at least they're giving it to me, I'll be willing to try it. But this is one of the things that's holding me back from wait and see versus I know this is going to work. Like if you like the PlayStation 4 right here, you just plug this thing in and you're good to go. You know that the headset chat's right there. You don't have to. You just worry about the PlayStation controller being charged and you're good to go. You're connecting with your friends in seconds.
So my initial thought when they had announced that this is how they were going to handle things was this is a terrible idea. I don't think people are going to like this at all. The more I think about it, I think it's a pretty good idea. But at the same time, I don't think this is going to be what people are going to want to buy, because they're going to want things to mimic the way that they are currently. But I also think this is kind of forward thinking, where you know that pretty much your entire user base already has cell phones. So they're going to be using that because they already have it. And you don't have to put it down natively now, and it doesn't take up any like battery life or processing power. So you can focus that all on what's happening in your game, rather than having these things that are running in the background, bogging down what's going on in your game.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're worried about battery life a little bit.
You obviously do not see that happening when you're playing games. Like, I know when I'm in a party chat, it's not affecting, whatever game I'm playing. But I think the main concern there is the battery life part, where there's already, the battery life is 6 hours to 2.5 hours, depending on what game you're playing. So I don't think I'm ever going to be outside of the house for 2.5 hours without being near an outlet and playing the system.
Yeah, that's not typically going to be the case.
So I think using the app is kind of a smart idea, because now I can just do it on my phone, have it sit in my pocket, and then play my game. And then, you could potentially be able to move about anywhere away from your console and still interface with your Nintendo friends.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's not a horrible idea, but I don't think it's going to be a selling point for people. It's going to be more of a negative thing.
It's more of a negative thing, but I think people will be willing to try it. As long as the battery life, they're saying like a game like Zelda Breath of the Wild, probably like 3 hours. I don't think any typical commute, if you didn't charge it at all, if your commute is 3 hours total each day, I'm sorry about that. That's pretty rough. But, it's probably going to be under that, so you'll be able to play whether you're on the bus or the train, something like that. So, the battery life is a concern. The other thing that I would love the system to have, and I know that the potential might be there because there's a capture button on the controller, and it sounds like initially it's just going to be for screenshots, which is totally lame.
Yeah.
But then you'll be able to capture video in the future, they're saying. But are we going to be able to stream on Twitch, on YouTube gaming with this?
This is the more important question, rather than, the getting the video clips. Because I don't want the video clip part to be, I'm going to record a thing and now I can post it to the Miiverse. I don't even know if they're using the Miiverse anymore, but, that's where people are going to go watch it. With, Nintendo's policies on videos on YouTube, I don't feel like that they'll try to add a streaming part of it, but that is a strong selling point if it does do that.
Yeah, that's another question mark. If they can do it, if they can build in their Nintendo monopolistic policies that they have with YouTube and Twitch and all that streaming stuff, where you have to sign I don't exactly know how it works because I don't do it, but if they could build it in to where you just agree to it on the system and then, start streaming on YouTube or Twitch, I think that'll be a huge selling point. That's something that I would like. That was a selling point for me on the PlayStation 4 because I knew I was going to be doing more stuff on YouTube, and I saw how easy it was to just stream on there. That was a selling point for me. Unfortunately, with the PlayStation 4, they never had it where you could play PlayStation 1 games and stream them that you have. That was my hope, and it didn't happen.
I looked at PlayStation Now briefly because I was like, if I can play all these games and stream them, I'm going to get PlayStation Now. I don't care about paying this cost. Looked it up. Can't stream PlayStation Now games.
Yeah, so
not getting that service.
Nintendo's been like the least to. They have the most archaic policies of the main three consoles left.
They're very guarded on what they.
To think that they're going to be the ones to go outside the box with this might be far-fetched, but if they do it, if they do some of these things that we've been talking about, heading into the launch of this system March 3rd, we're about, 10 days out now?
Yeah.
That's going to be huge. So the streaming. So the last thing, I wanted to talk about the price of one more thing, and it's something that I can't elaborate on too much, but the dev kits for the Nintendo Switch are only $450 for indie developers, and it's going to allow you to build the game with Unreal Engine and 4 and Unity. To me, that doesn't mean anything. I'm not a game developer, but I know those are supposed to be common.
Well, that's something that I'm going to be looking into then.
Yeah, so, I mean, just for $150 more, you could buy a dev kit and then possibly develop your own games to put on the virtual console, for people to play for free, or I don't know what Nintendo's approval policy is going to be, but, this is compared to, I think, the research that I did, the Wii U's development kit cost was like $5,000.
Yeah.
So you're talking about like you're saying that like a college kid or even a kid in high school
to get into that.
Even a kid in high school can afford this, and potentially, if you're in these classes, you're going to these schools learning how to do it, you can actually not only use it, but you might be able to sell these to colleges and universities that are developing games, because you're using, to my knowledge, development tools that are common, and then they're affordable. So this could be a huge selling point for the Switch. I'm assuming, don't know much about that, but it sounds good to me.
Yeah, it sounds great. I didn't know about that.
So the last thing we're going to talk about, we talked about a lot of potential things because they're not confirmed, but the potential of this system for me is endless. This thing could kill it. It really could. A lot of people are saying that, they expect it to do better than the Wii U.
That's not hard to do. The Wii U sold 13 million units. And then the 3DS sold, it was like around 65 million units. And both are not, I mean, the Wii U one is abysmal. I'm pretty sure it's one of their worst selling consoles. I think the 64 sold 32 million units, somewhere around that ballpark. So if you can put it in that perspective, how much less it sold than the 64, which didn't sell that well. It sold more well here, and we have fond memories of it, but it still was not that successful of a console versus like the PlayStation. It's not hard to be better than the Wii U, for sure. If they can get to the install base of the 3DS, that would be great. But I think if they can get to that point, they're definitely going to build beyond that point. Because the potential with this system the value of this gains the more that somebody owns. More people that own this console.
The more people own it, they could possibly just drop their portable consoles altogether, the 3DS. I know they're saying they're not going to do that, but you could start porting like the Pokemon games over, the Yokai Watch, games like that.
Yeah.
You start porting them over to the Switch, now you got even bigger base. If you have multiplayer retro games online on the Switch. I mean, this thing could be an absolute monster. If you look at the way retro prices are going up on all the Nintendo consoles, not the other consoles too, but if you could get these on this system and offer, you don't need them all to be online, but if you get a majority of them or a good select good titles, I mean, this thing could be an absolute monster.
Yeah, I think it will be great.
Can it do all these things? Will Nintendo do all these things? It's yet to be seen. It's just it's a whole ton of potential right now. So that leads us to our last And final question, what we started the discussion with is, are you getting this console on launch day, March 3rd?
So, on launch, I am not getting this on launch only because
Oh,
I didn't have enough money to get it the day that they announced, on January 12th when they, announced all the features. I didn't think they were going to have pre-orders that day. I thought it would have, they would have announced a date for pre-orders, and then I would have had money to save up for then. But I don't have the money at launch. However, I was going to buy this console regardless of what they were going to announce. When I knew that the idea of the NX was coming out, before I knew it was a hybrid console of, being a handheld and a home console, I would have already bought this. So, who they're targeting, they already had me because they're Nintendo. They need to target other people. And I think that question's more important for somebody like you. Would you get this on launch rather than a person like me? Because they could have offered me a turd and I would have bought it.
yeah. No, I understand.
Because the Nintendo properties are enough for me to want to buy a Nintendo console. Because I'm a person that will buy multiple consoles. There are a lot of people that, they just have one console. And they will sell their old console when they get the new thing. So I think there's also a potential for people, these casual gamers, when they see games like, I already said this twice already, but I'll say it again. When you see a Call of Duty, you see a Madden, and you see a Grand Theft Auto 5 on the console, they're like, I can play these portably now, and I can play them at home. I see way more value in this. I'm going to sell my PlayStation, and I'm going to get a Switch, and I'm going to play these games there now, because there's better features built into this console. With the announcement of that, none of those games that I said are a part of this yet. And I think they need those games to sell this console. And I think the value is going to be increased by the more people that have this. So they need to get those games.
Yeah. Yeah, those games are going to be huge. So yeah, I actually thought you would be getting on launch day, but I guess if the finances aren't there, they're not there. One thing I
would get this game on. I would get the console on launch if I had the money for it.
Yeah, and one thing I did see when I was looking at some of the prices today is that GameStop's offering a $175 trade-in for the PlayStation 4, the 500 gigabyte version, which I thought that was pretty high, given the fact that a new one costs $250 with a game.
I don't know if they're still holding that sale, but that's how much I bought mine for.
Yeah, so that's really good value. You might be able to entice some people. I'm not there yet. March 3rd, am I buying the console? No. And the simple reason is because it doesn't have the games yet that I want. There's a lot of question marks with the online, which that's what I got excited for. All the potential of what the online could bring us, especially with the retro game market. What is EA going to do on this system? Are they just going to release FIFA? Will they release a new NBA Jam, which they have the rights to? Will they release a new NFL Blitz? I don't know. Midway was the king of making those games. They sucked at making NFL Blitz. They did a pretty good job with NBA Jam. I don't know. Will things like that come out on the Switch with EA? What will the other third-party developers do on the Switch? We still don't know. The support was kind of, especially at the presentation, it was kind of halfway there. And but I will say, I think this system is the future of gaming for me. So I will get this system at some point, and I'm guessing by the Christmas season they might have a pack-in game with it. It'll probably be a digital download, which maybe it won't because they're 32 gigabytes.
I don't think they're gonna go that way. I think it will be more. They're gonna want you to have a cartridge.
Yeah, so I don't know. Will they have one with a pack-in? I think I'll wait till around the Christmas season when there's at least a few established games, that Mario Odyssey, and then by that time we'll see what other games are coming out in the system. So I'm not gonna buy into the hoopla on March 3rd and try to get one of these, even though I didn't pre-order. But I do want one, and I see the massive potential in this system, and I think Xbox or PlayStation is gonna be one of the first ones to go um, all digital, and it's not gonna be Nintendo, and I do thank them for that.
I I do want to say that I will get this console as soon as I have the money for it, and as soon as the availability is there. If I mean, I have the money for it right now, and if I had an opportunity to pre-order it to get it on launch day, I would.
Yeah, and I think there might be some available on launch day because I think there's a lot of people on YouTube and saying they got the Switch pre-order, but I think you're gonna see some in stores. It's not gonna be like the Wii's launch where you couldn't find them. So if
That's
you do
what
have
I'm
the money,
afraid of.
if you
though.
do have the money that day, you might be able to pick one up. But yeah, overall, so we both want the system. We're both not getting it at launch. Matt would if he has the money. I'm not sold on it yet, but I love the potential of the system. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, if you like discussions, videos like this, we'll do more in the future. This is the first kind of video we did where we didn't have the game distracting us from our commentary. So, you know, if you like these videos, we'll do more of them.
If you don't like our body language in the video, let us know that too.